Hello then, a very good evening to you. Welcome to TV47 News Tonight. Quite plenty lined up for you, but first to our top stories just for you. Tonight, President nominates DPP Nurdin Haji as Director General of the National Intelligence Service, days after promising action over the Shakahola massacre. Also tonight, opposition now threatens past protests over finance bill.
Kupandisha ushuru wakati huu ikuongeza mzigo kwa Wakenya wengi zaidi.
As employers say the bill could lead to massive job losses.
We see a danger in jobs being reduced. We see an even bigger danger in the capacity of enterprises to create jobs being hampered.
Plus, 10 more bodies exhumed from the Shakahola forest, with the death toll now rising to 211.
The forensic team has managed to exhume 10 bodies today.
9 p.m. East African time, you definitely right on time for TV47 News Tonight. Roda Nyama is on the sign language interpretation. My name is Stanley Mirungita. You can always talk to us on our socials below your screens. President William Ruto has reassigned certain principal secretaries to different ministries. This comes a day after the Principal Secretary for Public Health and Professional Standards, Josephine Buru, was fired. PS Mary Muthoni Muriuki has been moved from the Interior Ministry's State Department of Correctional Services to the Health Ministry. Tongaren, who was in charge of performance management and the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, has been reassigned to the State Department of Correctional Services. Peter Kiplangat Tum, who was the PS in charge of medical services, has been moved to the sports docket. PS Jonathan Mweke, who was in charge of sports, has been shifted to the livestock development wing in the Ministry of Agriculture, while Efantis Kimani, who was in charge of forestry department, moves to the irrigation department. Harry Kimtai, who was the PS for livestock development, will now head the medical services docket in the health ministry. Gitonga Mugambi, who was irrigation in the irrigation department, PS, has moved to the forestry docket. Well, let's focus on the finance bill right now. And the Federation of Kenya Employers warns that the proposed finance bill 2023, if passed, could lead to massive job losses as companies strive to manage the cost of human resources in an already straining business environment being experienced in the country. This even as the opposition is making fresh threats to lead massive protests if the finance bill goes through Parliament, terming the proposals as a punishment to Kenyans. Mwege William with more.
Tonight, the Finance Bill 2023 spells more gloom for Kenyans, with employers saying it could lead to massive job losses. Federation of Kenya Employers Director General Jacqueline Mugo says employers cannot afford to match the 3% housing fund to be deducted from employees.
When you increase the cost of labor, payroll costs go up, and employers are also under distress for very many other reasons, because there are very many other levies that are not deductions from the employees' pay. The total cost of doing business is untenable. That, of course, puts in danger jobs.
Mugo says if push comes to shove, employers might be forced to reduce the number of employees so as to afford the obligation in the financial bill.
Unfortunately, when employers are pushed to the wall, then as a last resort, you have to look at your fixed costs and you have to reduce that. You manage what you can. Because if the government wants you to pay taxes, you have no option but to pay. If all else has failed and you have to pay it, then you have to manage the numbers of staff you have.
This comes as the opposition now says it will be forced to lead mass protest if Parliament passes the bill.
We make it clear that if this bill is railroaded through Parliament, Kenya Kwanza must prepare that we will have no option but to mobilize citizens around the country to fight for themselves.
Top of the issues that the Raila-led PAC are raising concerns over are the various tax statutes, including the Income Tax Act, Value Added Tax, Tax Procedure Act, among others, which the opposition states will have significant negative impact on taxpayers.
Kupandisha ushuru wakati huu ni kuongeza mzigo kwa Wakenya wengi zaidi. Tumesema Wakenya hawawezi kuvumilia tena mzigo zaidi sasa.
The opposition further questioned the need for public participation on the proposals, arguing that it is just meant to give Kenyans false hope, citing that the top leadership of the Kenya Kwanza regime in Parliament had pronounced themselves on this matter.
Tunataka Wakenya wakati huu ya kutafuta maoni yao wajitokeze kwa wengi, jamaa wakija karibu na waende watoe maoni yao, waambie jamaa ya kwamba sisi tumekataa, hatukubaliana na nyinyi kwa kupandisha ushuru kila mahali.
Raila has however placed a list of demands to the government, such as calling for major surgery to the finance bill in the interest of the Kenyans, threatening to mobilize citizens, the social sector, and take the necessary political actions. MPs allied to the government, led by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, called out the opposition for what they stated as misleading statements from the opposition over the proposed Finance Bill 2023. Mwige William, TV 47.
Right, meanwhile, National Intelligence Service (NIS) has a new boss after President William Ruto this evening nominated the Director of Public Prosecutions, Noordin Haji, as its new Director General. Haji will replace Philip Washira Kameru, who is proceeding on retirement. The reorganization comes barely 2 days after the head of state asked for forgiveness for the Shakahola mass murders, acknowledging laxity and complacency by some government agencies over the same. Mike Kagungo tells us more.
President William Ruto has, in accordance with Section 71 of the National Intelligence Service Act, nominated Noordin Haji for appointment as the Director General of the National Intelligence Service. Haji returns to the National Intelligence Service after 6 years of service as the Director of Public Prosecutions. The Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, Felix Koskei, said the presidential action is to facilitate transition of the apex leadership of National Intelligence Service ahead of the retirement of retired Major General Philip Washira Kameru. Major General Kameru was sworn in on September 11, 2014, less than a month after Michael Geshangi resigned from the NIS Director General position. The NIS Director General serves for a 5-year term and is eligible for a reappointment for one further term. In 2019, Major General Kameru's 5-year term was about to end when President Uhuru Kenyatta renewed his term by another 5 years, which ends in 2024. On Sunday this week, President William Ruto asked for forgiveness for the Shakahola mass murders, acknowledging laxity and complacency by some government agencies over the same.
Wanaweza kuomba msamaha wa Kenya kwa kupoteza nyoyo 200 na wengine 600 hawajulikani waliko.
Pale kuna utepetevu katika upande wetu wa serikali na inapaswa mimi niombe msamaha kwa sababu Wakenya 210 tayari wamepatikana katika makaburi.
This comes after the number of exhumed bodies hit the 200 mark. He suggested some government agencies could have slept on the job, blaming the National Intelligence Service NIS, Directorate of Criminal Investigations DCI, National Police Service, area chiefs and their assistants, and Nyumba Kumi elders for failing to discover the cult's activities on time.
You've admitted that, yes, there was complacency. 600 people missing. That's a huge number. Someone somewhere must have known. What degree of complacency are we talking about? And are we going to see heads rolling?
Oh, yeah, because, and that is why I have a judicial, because the Judicial Commission of Inquiry will put people to account. The chief will have to account. The intelligence officer will have to account. The CID officer will have to account. Or the whole chain has to account. So people will be held to account, because this is not a simple matter.
Ruto said the commissions of inquiry formed will get to the bottom of the matter and that those found responsible will be apprehended. Haji returns to the National Intelligence Service after 6 years of service as the Director of Public Prosecutions. Mike Kagwongo, TV 47, Nairobi.
Right, and still on the same matters, 10 more bodies have been exhumed from the shallow graves of Shakahola Forest, raising the death toll to 211. Investigators have also arrested 4 more suspects linked to the Shakahola horror, bringing the total number of arrests to 31. And as Andrin Kilemi reports, more bodies are likely to be found as investigators have cited areas within the vast forest that could be holding more graves.
Phase 3 of the multi-agency operation in the horror fields of Shakahola, and 10 more bodies have been exhumed. This raised the death toll to 211. Even as 3 more people were rescued Tuesday, the number of rescues now standing at 84.
The investigation teams are doing very well, and also the forensic team has been able to conclude the exercise for today.
Those rescued today were 3 male adults who are reported to be in critical condition and were rushed to Malindi Sub-County Hospital for stabilization. 4 more people, all male adults, were also arrested, with the number of arrests now standing at 31.
We've had 4 arrests, and they are all male and in custody, assisting the investigation team with investigations.
The multi-agency team leading the operation in Malindi, Kilifi County says the number of missing persons remains at 610, amidst report that the vast forest could be holding more graves. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Right, thank you for that. Now, tonight we tell you how tens of farmers in Kongoni, Likuyani Sub-County are crying over lack of subsidized fertilizers even after paying for them. This is despite President William Ruto confirming that most farmers have received their fertilizers since the government has spent almost 6 billion Kenyan shillings for the subsidy. Paul Kirabe tells us more. And we'll definitely be bringing you that story. Let's dive back to matters religious extremisms. And 13 people have been arrested in Nyambene village, Migori County, over claims of radicalization, child neglect, and lack of identification. They were arrested over suspicion of being a cult-like organization that is spreading false and harmful ideologies to its members.
The 13 were found praying and locked in a house believed to be that of George Juma Oteku. Migori County Police Commander Mark Wanjala now says George Juma Oteku, Helen Anyango Juma, and Alice Achieng were arrested for child neglect, but they denied the charges and are being remanded at Migori prisons.
Watu walipatikana watu 13 wakiwa wamejifungia kwa boma ya mtu mmoja ambaye anaitwa George Juma Oteku, wakiwa na watoto 11 ambao wamezuia watoto wasiende shule na pia watoto wasiende hospitali, wakiwa wanasema wanaomba. Ukiuliza wanasema ni kanisa ya Yesu, lakini jina la kanisa lenyewe hatukupata kwa sababu ni kwa boma ya mtu.
Helen Anyango Juma, Alice Chieng, Rehema Amina and 9 others were arrested for lack of identification cards. They pleaded guilty and have been remanded at the Migori prisons, awaiting the report of the probation officer on 18th of this month. 8 children who were also found in the group have been handed to Dennis Okoth, the brother to George Juma Oteku.
Watoto 8 ambayo walikuwa miaka 6 mpaka 7, hao walikuwa handed over kwa Dennis Okoth ambaye ni elder brother wa huyu mtu ambaye yeye sio wa hiyo dini.
Wanjala has urged the residents of Migori County not to be swayed into joining religious cults to avoid radicalization.
Napenda kueleza wananchi ya kwamba waangalie madhehebu ile unaona inakataza watu kwenda hospitali, wengine inakataza watoto kwenda shule, watupe information haraka kwa sababu hatutaki shida itokee kama ile tulikuwa tunaona kwa TV ya Shakahola.
Vera Alberta, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, just today, after President William Ruto cracked the whip on KEMSA over the bungled procurement process, which has since placed Kenya at risk of losing 3.7 billion worth anti-malaria nets from the Global Fund. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has since launched investigations into the scandal, which puts more than 10 million Kenyans at risk of contracting malaria. Our reporter Elizabeth Atieno unpacks what is entailed in the anti-malaria net scandal in this report.
In January this year, Global Fund, a Geneva-based organization, floated a 3.7 billion Kenya shillings tender that called for the winning bidder to supply 10.2 million treated bed nets to several counties from November this year to July 2024 in a mass campaign against malaria. However, things took a different twist in February, where the Ministry of Health and Global Fund clashed on the specifications of nets to be distributed. The push and pull between the Ministry of Health and Global Fund led to the extension of tender closing date from 23rd February to 10th March 2023. As of the tender closing date, a total of 16 bids were received, opened and evaluated. On the 6th of April 2023, the Tender Evaluation Committee released its report, where it was established that 11 of the 16 bidders were not responsive, with only 5 responsive by KEMSA. According to Global Fund, 2 of the 5 bidders KEMSA settled on failed to meet mandatory documentation requirements and were therefore not in a capacity to proceed to the financial and post-qualification phase. According to Global Fund, the only companies that met all the requirements of both Kenyan and Global Fund procurement laws and guidelines is Premium Movers and China's Tianjin Yakul, which was unfairly excluded from the tender evaluation. The 3 companies, Vika Polymers PVT, Shobika Impex, and Partech East Africa, which was to distribute polyester nets, were ranked as qualified by KEMSA, but were disqualified by Global Fund. Global Fund has since cancelled the 3.7 billion shillings tender and offered it directly to its own online procurement wing, wambo.org. The Ministry of Health had until the 8th of May to sign the handover document to Wambo, but that is yet to see the light of day. KEMSA is now projected to lose 300 million Kenya shillings in commission. Of this amount, 74 million shillings was meant for procurement and 295 million shillings for warehousing and distribution charges. Global Fund then tasked the Ministry of Health with finding out how and who bungled up the procurement process as a condition for continued collaboration.
Pale KEMSA lazima tuifanyie kazi kubwa kuhakikisha kwamba ile kazi yote itaendelea pale. Tunatumia teknolojia kusort out ile challenges ya cartels. Unajua kuna mahospitali nyingi inaendeshwa kwa pesa za umma na hakuna kazi yote wanafanya, ukora mtupu.
The ministry has since bowed to pressure, which saw Health PS Josephine Mburu sent home over the bungled procurement process.
I will clean up KEMSA. Whatever it takes,
Mr. President,
whatever it costs, I will clean it up.
A major policy statement on education should come from Minister of Education in his ministry. If there's a scandal in KEMSA, the Ministry for Health, Minister for Health.
This move has since elicited mixed reaction as many ask if PS Mburu was the right person to be sent packing, given that the President, through Executive Order No. 1 of 2023, placed KEMSA under the Department of Medical Services, a position led by Principal Secretary Engineer Peter Tu. Josephine Mburu was the Principal Secretary of Public Health and Professional Standards.
There's a permanent secretary for health, medical services. This other one here is just PS for public health. So it's raising more questions than it answers about the so-called surgery in the ministry.
President, through Head of Public Service Felix Koskei, also revoked the appointment of KEMSA Chair Daniel Rono just 3 months after his appointment and the entire KEMSA board, and appointed Dr. Andrew Muller as the acting KEMSA CEO and Farmers Party leader Irungu Nyakera as chairperson for the KEMSA board. Other members of the board appointed include Hesbon Omolo, the elder brother of Interior PS Raymond Omolo, alongside Bernard Kipkirui Bet, Dr. Jane Masiga, and Jane Nyagaturi. Some of the 23 counties that were supposed to benefit from the Global Fund program include Marsabit, Turkana, Kilifi, Kwale, Mombasa, Siaya, Kisumu, among others. However, this is not the first time the state-owned company is embroiled in a corruption scandal. In March last year, the Global Fund accused KEMSA of failing to account for 908,000 mosquito nets, 1.1 million condoms, and 10 million Kenya shillings worth of tuberculosis drugs that went missing in its warehouse. The Global Fund also raised a red flag over suspected fake suppliers who demanded 1.6 billion Kenya shillings from KEMSA. And as if that was not enough, KEMSA allegedly inflated the value of medicine by 640 million Kenya shillings.
I don't think that this is the only scandal that they have in KEMSA. I think within a short period of time, you're going to be seeing hemorrhage in this government.
On Wednesday this week, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and the Ministry of Health will launch a survey report on the nature and extent of corruption and unethical conduct in Kenya's health sector. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
But I know that meat looks tender, but maybe not so much when your chest is burning. Remember what happened the last time? Hey, dude, you don't listen, man. Are you testing yourself? I tried looking out for you, bro. Hey, you see now? How's the heartburn? Look now, it's burning.
Do not hold back in any situation. Eno gets to work on the 6 symptoms of heartburn fast.
What? You do know you said all of that out loud, right?
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
As you enter a new phase of life, you may seem lost until you discover the passion within.
I'm happy that MKU decided to open a branch in Malindi to make work easier for those parents who have never been away from their kids or children.
That's all the equipment that I need to study and all the facilities that I need.
We have one of the most beautiful and ultra-modern structure.
Join us at Mount Kenya University and Equip Africa Institute Malindi Odell Center to build your future. Intake in April for electronic learning and May for distance learning. Mount Kenya University.
Unlocking infinite possibilities.
Karibuni.
Mount Kenya.
Radio 47 tuko nawe mchana kutwa na usiku kucha. 101.9 Eldoret. Hapa ndipo. Welcome to the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center, the premier events venue. Our state-of-the-art facilities are designed to meet all your needs, from large-scale conferences to intimate meetings and everything in between. Located in the heart of Thika, the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center offers stunning views of the city skyline and is easily accessible from all major transportation hubs. Our facility features ample parking, free Wi-Fi, advanced audiovisual equipment, and our technical team is always on hand to ensure your event runs smoothly and seamlessly. Don't take our word for it. Make your next event unforgettable at the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center. Contact us today for bookings and reservations. Email multimedia@mku.ac.ke or call us on 0708 212204 or 0727 441733 or 0721 438 629 to learn more about our services and book your event.
Sasa sote tuko sawa, nchi moja yenye usawa, tunasonga mbele pamoja. Nobody's left behind. One love, one people, sustainable health for everyone. NHIF inafaidi jamii, strong as one. Strong as one. Usawa ni umoja, usawa ni upendo, afya bora bila ubaguzi. UHC super cover. Usawa ni umoja, usawa ni upendo, afya bora bila ubaguzi. UHC super cover na NHIF.
The CA Broadcaster Awards 2023 is here, where we celebrate excellence in Kenyan broadcasting. TV47 needs your vote. To vote for TV47 as your favorite free-to-air station, SMS the word Kuza to 15601. A question will pop up on your phone screen. Answer the question and press send. Remember, this SMS is free of charge. Voting will close on the 28th of May 2023. Thank you for voting for TV47. From politics, health, cooking, relationships, and entertainment, join Linda Alela every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. only on Morning Cafe.
Right, welcome back. Let's talk politics now. And Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga has dismissed a handshake with President William Ruto, describing the back-to-back weekend meetings with the president as a chance meeting. Odinga's no handshake remarks echoed President William Ruto's on Sunday, who said that the bipartisan talks are not geared towards a handshake. The two leaders' remarks comes on the backdrop of success in the ongoing bipartisan talks, as Apollo Kumar reports.
Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga has settled the debate on the much speculated handshake between him and President William Ruto, calling the back-to-back weekend meetings as chance meetings, while asserting he is not interested in a handshake with Kenya Kwanza.
And I want to say this for umpteenth time. Mr. Gachagua, understand, we do not want any handshake with Kenya Kwanza. You have not asked for it, we don't want it. And we will not go for it.
Odinga first met the president during Mau Mau War veteran Mukami Kimathi Burial in Njambini, Nyandarua County, where he claimed a hostile reception to his arrival had been plotted. Then at Kasarani and Nyayo stadiums, where the bromance was interpreted to mean a handshake was in the offing.
We just met there a chance at Kasarani. And we watched the tournament together. We did not invite each other. The following day, there was Mashemeji Derby at Nyayo Stadium. And I was going there because I'm the patron of Gor Mahia, we watched the match together. The halftime, we went down to the lounge. There's only one lounge. And then we met there, and the pictures were taken. But we did not talk anything other than football.
Odinga's statement takes a cue from President William Ruto's live televised interview on Sunday, where he said he is only interested in bipartisan talks and not a handshake.
Mimi mazungumzo sina shida. Bora sio mazungumzo ya handshake. Kama ni mazungumzo ya kule bunge watu waende waongee. Hii maneno mnasema saba.
Despite the two leaders disowning a handshake, their 14-member representatives in the ongoing bipartisan talks are said to have reported progress. The bipartisan team has broken another stalemate after agreeing to adopt a hybrid process for the talks, meaning inside and outside Parliament. Both sides are now free to hire experts from outside, paving way for talks on the key agenda. According to Odinga, the weekend's turn of events have not changed the river's course, meaning Azimio's quest still stands. Apul Kamau, TV47 in Nairobi.
And tonight we tell you how tens of farmers in Kongoni, Likuyani sub-county are crying over lack of subsidized fertilizer even after paying for them. This is despite President William Ruto confirming that most farmers have received their fertilizers since the government spent almost 6 billion Kenyan shillings for the subsidy. Paul Kirebe with more.
It is not possible for anybody to lie to me.
What percentage?
By yesterday, we had done 2.7 million.
Just days after President William Ruto refuted claims that a huge chunk of farmers are yet to receive the subsidized fertilizer.
It is the first time. And I want you to bring a farmer on TV to say that they didn't get subsidized fertilizer and that they had to travel from Embu to Kitale to get fertilizer.
Now, the faces of frustration have become the order of the day among farmers in Likuyani. Farmers here struggle to get their hands to the 3,500 shillings per bag fertilizer for months now.
Na mwenye alinyang'anya sisi mbolea, tuliporudia hata akisema wafanye mkutano kidogo ndio watatuita. Tukakuta mbolea ikiuswa na hata wanahusia tena watu wasingishu. Na alikuwa anasema mbolea iendi wasingishu. Cha kusikitika sana. Sisi wenye tulinyang'anywa mambolea, sisi sana ni wajane.
Wakatalia pressing hii wanakatalia. Ilikuwa na shida gani? Yeye ndiye asikia ujungu kwa kulingana sub count, alituongelesha mbaya sana hapo. Na anatuongelesha mbolea akipeana. Kama sisi tumeona, tumuuliza sisi tupe mbolea yetu twende basi kama uliona tinga na shida, sisi tumekuja tuchukue pikipiki tufanye nini? Tuchukulie, tupepe. Wakatitia maaskari hapa, hata askari mwingine alinieleza hapa ati wewe kijana unataka kutoka Kisirani hata una meno. Kwani nikashindwa nilikuja mbolea ama kutoa meno?
Serikali hii yetu mapolisi ndio wanakuja kutusaidia kutugandamiza. Hao wananchi wamekuja kudai mbolea yao. Wameenda kusaidika, wameenda kuomba usaidizi kule kwingine wananyimwa na wanathreateniwa bado na huyu wengine. Wananchi wa kawaida watapata wapi haki yao?
The president had confirmed that so far the government has used more than 6 billion shillings on fertilizer subsidy to increase production of farming that will later on reduce the price of maize in the market. The voices of angry farmers who had registered for the fertilizer is a clear indication that there could be a disconnect between government and the farmers.
Sisi tumekuja tuchukue pikipiki tufanye nini? Tuchukulie, tupepe. Wakatitia maaskari hapa, hata askari mwingine alinieleza hapa ati wewe kijana unataka kutoka Kisirani hata una meno. Kwani nikashindwa nilikuja mbolea ama kutoa meno?
Senior village elder wa Mkunga. Nashangaa sana wakulima wa Mkunga nikiwa ndani mwao. Tulilibia mbolea kupitia kwa M-Pesa account. Nashangaa hiyo mbolea tulipo sign tunachukua ili tuliweza kunyang'anywa.
The efforts to get justice from government officials and even the security officer seems to bear no fruits, despite reporting the matter to the police office. The subsidized fertilizer that cost farmers 3,500 shillings down from the previous 6,500 price is becoming hard to source them, despite the Kenya National Trading Corporation KNTC on January putting place for effective distribution of fertilizers to various parts of the country. Paul Kirobi, TV47.
Right now, Eliud Wekesa, alias Yesu wa Tongaren, has finally been set free after spending 5 days in custody. Bungoma Law Court, through Principal Magistrate Tom Orlando, ruled that Wekesa had not been found guilty with any offence following an investigation that was done by DCI officers. Our reporter Wanji Sostin tells us more.
Eliud Wekesa, popularly known as Yesu wa Tongaren, was born at Luhohwe village in Tongaren constituency, and he started the New Jerusalem Church in 2009. For that period, the self-proclaimed Jesus of Tongaren has been attracting followers day after day. The incident of controversial preacher Ezekiel Odero and Paul Mackenzie was like a bad omen to Jesus of Tongaren, following radicalization claims at Shakahola forest in Kilifi County. Wekesa was arrested last week on Thursday under allegations of unlawful operation of an registered society. The prosecution had also said they had reason to believe there were criminal activities of indoctrination being carried out at his church. Former President aspirant Professor George Wajakoya, who stepped in court to represent Wekesa, condemned the arrest of Eliud, saying it was marred with the political interference from Bungoma County leaders. Wajakoya further noted that every religious leader has a right to preach the word of God and is protected by the Constitution.
Another senator from Western, who also tweeted that this man must be condemned to death. For sure, where is this country? Yesu wa Tongaren hana chochote. Kama ingekuwa kama wale mapasta wengine ambao wako na mali, mungeona watu wanaenda huko kutafuta mali ya huyo and to glorify themselves.
On his part, Wekesa lauded the court for setting him free, saying it is God's doing. He noted that he is not like other preachers who thrive in wealth, but instead leads a simple and truthful life, preaching the word of God.
Na wanahabari ambao mmekuja nyumbani kwangu hata sina baiskeli pekee. Nyinyi wote ambao mnaingia kwangu mnajua hilo. Hata hiyo kanisa nimetumia tu lime ya white ili isilete sura mbaya, lakini ni ya matope. Nyumba pia si permanent. Nimefloor tu sitting. Wale wakuu ambao nilienda nao Jumamosi, nikatembea nao kwa nyumba, hata nikashukuru Jumamosi na kuanga na ni Sabbath day. Nishukuru hata waliweza kuchukua picha ya sataka, wakahesabu wenyewe, wakaona sataka ni shilingi 250. Na nyanya ndani 6 na vitunguu 4.
Mungu ni wa ajabu na matendo yake haionekani hivi. Tena Mungu huwezi muona na macho. Lakini Mungu anapitia katika chombo. Jinsi ameweza kupitia leo hii kwa mheshimiwa wetu wa Chakoi. Na muoneanga kwa runinga tu, lakini kwangu leo ni miujiza kwa Baba Mungu.
Wanji Sostin, TV47, Bungoma.
Interesting story and not so sweet, rather. Speaking of matters, honey, beekeepers who are agriculture stakeholders who are worried not knowing what the future has for bees. The keepers are now calling upon Kenyans to conserve trees and water bodies to save bees and humanity. As Josh Ansari reports, without bee crops, pollination will fail and affect food production.
As the government continues to spearhead projects aimed at achieving a greener environment through tree planting and growing in mitigating the effects of climate change, bees' welfare remain a major concern.
There's been a steady decline on bees in the environment for pollination services, and this has also had an impact on us as bee farmers who practice beekeeping.
If bees will not be given the appropriate environment, this will lead to low food production, considering they are agents of pollination in plants.
We need the trees, we need the environment, we need habitat for the bees, including the forests. And we are in collaboration with the KFS, who are the custodian of the forests, to ensure that we tap the potential, which is on honey production.
The honey makers, including beekeepers, bee equipment and products traders, among other players in beekeeping industry in Kenya, underscore the need for the country to step up the efforts to plant trees and conserve water towers in order to save bees. Meet the queen bee, a self-styled passionate beekeeper who also doubles up as a bee products and equipment entrepreneur.
We manufacture beekeeping equipment, we train on modern beekeeping, and above all, we also are beekeepers engaged in commercial beekeeping.
It's mid-morning in Otila Kamwara's Bee Equipment and Products Workshop in Embakasi, Nairobi. A beehive of activities is the description of the honey maker's workspace. For 20 years, Otila Kamwara has grown her career as both a bee equipment maker, a beekeeper, as well as a bee products and equipment trader. She delights herself with the title, the Queen Bee.
So we do the manufacturing here in this factory and supply them, and also train farmers on how they can manage such type of beehives. It is important for a beekeeper to be well protected when handling the beehives. So we also have the bee suits, which we manufacture locally, because actually the aim is also to create employment.
Otila Kamwara is an ardent crusade of bee welfare, alluding to their essential role in crop pollination as well as in honey making.
If we look at some of the crops that the bees really that really depend on bees for pollination, this includes sunflower, canola, strawberry, avocados, watermelons. Quite a variety of crops, they depend on beekeeping for pollination.
Not much of the history of beekeeping industry in Kenya is documented other than the early feasibility studies of 1967 to 1969, majorly by development agencies. These studies laid the foundation for the beekeeping training, research, extension and market development initiatives by the development organizations in Kenya in the year 1970s.
The initiative to form platforms was started by African Union under the cover of AU HIBA.
Following recommendations by various researchers, the government under the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock established the National Beekeeping Station in 1982, which later became critical in development of policies and strategies that led to the current liberalization of apiculture industry in Kenya, which began in 1993.
Then continuously we have been having World Bee Days every year, except 2020 due to Corona. So we have had World Bee Day celebrations in West Pokot, in Nairobi, in Kitui, in Nakuru, and this year we are actually organizing one in Baringo County.
According to 2019 statistics by the State Department of Livestock, apiculture contributes about 14 billion Kenya shillings of Kenya's GDP annually.
Beekeeping, just to appreciate it, is a key input in food production or food security for that matter. So we really go ahead by trying to create employment, elevate or improve on the livelihood, and also it provides food and income.
The Apiculture Platform of Kenya, APK, is a membership network of about 138 members who are stakeholders in beekeeping industry, include beekeepers, state departments, research and training organizations, business community, among others. Established in August 2016 and registered as a society in 2017.
I want to say within the 10 years, there has been a tremendous growth of the industry, particularly stakeholders coming on board.
According to Robinson Mbae, the chairman APK, Kenya is a net importer of honey.
Kenya is generally a net importer of honey. And most of our honey actually come across our neighbors, which is Tanzania, most of the honey.
According to Calro, it is estimated that Kenya produces about 11,000 metric tons of honey and 1 to 3 tons of beeswax annually. Traditional beehives contribute over 80% of honey production in Kenya.
We are a low producer as a position, and I think the production levels has been down, up, down, up. When there are a lot of rains, we get a lot of honey. When there is deficiency, like now, when there is deficiency when there is drought, and the production has been between 8,000 metric tons and 25,000 metric tons.
Major Munene, an urban beekeeper in Riruta, Dagoretti, Nairobi County, has been a friend of the bees throughout his age. The 57-year-old inherited the art of beekeeping from his grandfather, the late Thagichu Wamiru, who was a renowned beekeeper in Riruta area.
Kwa kweli ufugaji wa nyuki mimi nilianza nikiwa kijana mdogo sana, yapata kama miaka 7 hivi.
As a young boy, Munene tells us he would accompany his grandfather to Ngong Forest, where he had kept numerous traditional log hives.
Wakati babu yangu alipofika kiwango cha kustaafu ufugaji wake wa nyuki, sitasema kwani ni kustaafu, ni vile alifika sasa kawa afya yake haimruhusu kuwa anaenda kwa nyuki. Alianza kunituma niwe naenda kuangalia mizinga zake, na nilikuwa nafanya kadri na vile ambavyo alikuwa anafanya.
Today, Major Munene is one of the few urban beekeepers who continue to record decline in honey production following reduction of forest cover, especially due to the growing urban housing demand, which continue to put pressure on forested lands, which were traditionally bee habitats.
Nyakati hizo nikikumbuka huku kote upande wa Riruta kulikuwa ni kama mashamba na misitu. Misitu ilikuwa mingi sana, nao nyuki walikuwa pia ni wengi sana. Tofauti na vile ambavyo sasa tuko.
Munene now has a total of 50 beehives, which include a mix of traditional log hives and improved Kenya top bar hives.
Course ilinifungua macho vizuri jinsi ya kufuga nyuki kisasa. Sio vile ambavyo tulikuwa tunafuga nyuki na ile mziga ya log hive.
In Kenya, currently, there are several types of beehives that are available for beekeepers, including the flow hive, cub hive, Langstroth hive, Kenya top bar hive, African box hive, log hive, bark hive, basket hive, and mud hive. Munene has since become a trainer and a mentor. Following skills gained through a short course he undertook at National Beekeeping Institute.
Huwa nasaidiana na wale ambao wanataka kufuga nyuki, iwe ni vikundi ama mtu binafsi. Hata pia wale ambao wako kwenye shule ambao wanataka kupata masomo ama consultancy, huwa napata kusaidiana na wao.
Mimi katika ufugaji wa nyuki nilionyeshwa na Meja, na kutoka wakati alinionyesha ufugaji huu tumekuwa na yeye, na ndio nikawa na hamu na kupendelea hiyo kazi. Nikikumbuka pia hata hapo awali nikumbuka babu yangu pia alikuwa anafanya kazi ya kuwa na mizinga zamani.
Trained in business information technology, Peter Mutunga is a young man who has found a fortune in beekeeping. He acquired beekeeping skills from Apiculture Ventures in Embakasi and is now a proud owner of 70 beehives, 45 of which are colonized by bees.
Nilianza ukulima na mizinga 5 ambayo nilinunua mwaka mmoja uliopita, ila ilikaa muda tu kidogo wa miezi miwili ndipo ikaingia nyuki. Na wakati iliingia nyuki nilikaa kama miezi miwili, nikaanza kuona nyuki wameongezeka, na nikaweka sanduku ya juu ambayo inawekwa kwa Langstroth beehive ambayo ni ya kutoa asali, na baada ya mwezi mmoja nikapata asali.
Mutunga harvests between 10 to 12 kilograms of honey from one beehive in a good season, with a specialization in Langstroth beehives and Kenya top bar hives.
Baada ya muda wa miezi miwili unaweza ukapata kwa mzinga moja kilo 15, na ukipiga hesabu ya mizinga 70, 15 kwa miezi miwili inakuwa ni pesa ambayo takriban inafika 1,100, ambayo inaweza kukusaidia kufanya shughuli na pia kufanya mambo ya muhimu ambayo Unahitaji kujiinua.
According to Albert Einstein, if the honeybees disappeared from the earth, man would only have 4 years left to live.
And I want to tell people to really appreciate bees as an animal. If you call it an animal, it's an insect, of course, but it's something that contributes a lot to what we eat, how we live, what we get, and therefore we would want people to appreciate that.
Joash Onsare, TV 47.
Right, thank you for that, Josh Onsare. Quite a deep matters, Sally. And on our social media comments right here on Facebook, Daniel Gishuru says he is a beekeeper from Kino, and he is basically asking how can he really how can he really get these particular tips from the experts? We definitely, Daniel Gishuru, definitely talk to us on our social media platforms so that you can actually link you up. Keep talking to us on our social, handles. Now, from matters bees to matters biashara on the other side. And Equity Group Holdings has registered a profit jump of 10% to 16.9 billion shillings in its first quarter of 2023. At least 98% of all Equity Bank's transactions were outside physical branches, with the digital transactions driving the lender's revenues during the period under review. The lender, it operated in Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, and DRC Congo, but saw the next loans rise by just over a fifth to 756.3 billion shillings from 623.6 billion shillings in the year earlier period. Kenya's business contributed 53% of the net profits, while regional and non-banking subsidiaries contributed 47%.
As Equity Group, we have stuck to our strategy, because the strategy that we had formulated has the capacity, the capability, the agility to allow us to ride this macroeconomic shock, because it's more of a shock. So broadly, what we have done is stick to the path, be more intentional, be more deliberate, and spend all our time executing. So it's more of execute. That the growth of the balance sheet of Equity continues to be customer-driven. It is a liability-driven balance sheet, with customers' deposit growing by 23% and funding almost the entire growth of balance sheet of 21%. It's not the shareholders who are putting money, it's the customers who are expressing faith. To us, this speaks to the brand, the recognition of brand, a top-of-mind brand, the fourth highest rated financial brand on earth,
which is long-term savings. But as you look at this, members will realize that the focus of that was only on health. While really, when you look at the level of exposure you have as an individual, it's not only on life, it also extends to your health as well as your wealth, which means that currently, without the general insurance license only dealing in life, our ability to fully protect is limited. So the board approved us to pursue a general insurance license, and the insurance.
And to matters kahawa, coffee farmers in Kirinyaga County have expressed concerns over low payouts of coffee rates that has seen factories paying workers as low as 50 shillings per kilogram compared to last year, when farmers were being paid over 100 shillings per kilogram. They have threatened to cut down tea bushes and plant other crops if the low payouts continue, further claiming that they do not understand why they have been paid poor rates when there is a new government in place which was elected on a platform of fighting coffee cartels.
Ningetaka kusema ya kwamba tumesikitika vile tumetolewa coffee payout mwaka huu. For the last 5 years tumekuwa tukilipwa kahawa, kila kilo ilikuwa inapitisha 100. Lakini mwaka huu tuko na huzuni kwa sababu tumelipwa kahawa kwa bei duni zaidi.
GMR, the guaranteed minimum return for coffee and other agricultural products have not been effected. And we want to ask ourselves as the leaders in Mount Kenya, what is really going on? Because some of these things are not normal. You cannot tell me that the person who has been messing with my coffee is now not there in the system, and yet I receive a poor price or a poor payout. This is not normal.
Sasa mkulima anasikia amesukumwa na anaangalia ile maneno aliambiwa na hao wenye serikali. Sasa walikuwa wanatuambia minimum return kahawa itakuwa na pesa mingi. Sasa pesa mingi ndio tunauliza, pesa mingi kwa nini imeteremka? Na ndio tulikuwa tunarajia pesa mingi kutoka 150 kuendelea juu.
And the national conference to discuss mango farming has started today in Makueni County, with stakeholders in the mango industry asking the government to allocate funds to the coffee and tea sectors. According to a 2021 report, agriculture accounts for 29.5% of the county's total gross domestic product, GDP. Governor Mutua reiterated that they have established about 4 million mango trees, producing an estimated 255,700 mango trees of mangoes in 2021, valued at about 4.2 billion shillings.
So this is a place where we are going to peel our eyes so that we can see clearly. And we want, by the time the 2 days are over, for people to go and protect their mango trees, because we are going to make sure that through them, because they are responsible and the markets are waiting. I've just learned this morning through them that Pakistan was looking for mangoes from Kenya to export.
We were discussing about whenever kuna mangoes ambao imekuwa tayari kwenda kwa market, tuna identify mali market iko, na si hapa Makueni peke yake, kule Kenya mzima na kule nje. Hapa ni akona responsibility ya kufanya marketing, kuhakikisha kwamba mangoes ambao inakuswa hapa Makueni lazima ifike mahali inafaa kuwa.
Ni soko huwa haipanuki haraka kuchukua hayo maembe wakati yanapoiva. Kwa hivyo tunapatana tuone ni vipi tutaweza kupanua soko za maembe, ile local market.